Okay, good morning, everyone. We will start right on time. It's the way you should run your projects as well. My name is James Crowell, and I am the only thing standing in between you and lunch. So I will make sure, most importantly, to end this presentation on time. And then we're going to be talking about an exciting topic here, the future of project controls. A little bit about myself. I'm originally from Orlando, Florida. I moved to Houston, Texas. I was in project controls for 10 years, working on projects, implementing project management systems. I'm now based in Singapore as a consultant for Hexagon. So now I help companies in Asia Pacific evaluate their project controls, processes, and tools and help get them to the next level. So if I could, before I begin the presentation, I just want to give a quick introduction to our company. We're a sponsor of this event, so if you haven't come by our booth, please come by and say hello, pick up a brochure. Hexagon, if you have not heard of us, we are a technology solutions provider. So our solutions improve productivity and quality for our customers. Our solutions are used all around the world, from being the first to 3D laser scan Mount Blanc, Europe's tallest peak, to guiding the construction of One World Trade Center, the tallest building in the West. Volkswagen uses our technology to launch new vehicles and improve the production of existing models. If you're an iPhone user, you're already a customer of ours because the iPhone manufacturer is using our coordinate measuring machine to install and inspect the electronic components on the iPhone. So within Hexagon, we have a division called PPM. This is where we have solutions for the whole project lifecycle, from engineering, procurement, construction, all the way through operations and maintenance. Within Hexagon PPM, we have a product called Ecosys. And this is why we're here today. This is why we attend this conference and similar ones around the world. Ecosys is directly relevant to each of you in the room. It's an enterprise project performance software, and it's used by some of the world's leading project delivery companies to boost outcomes on their projects. So our customer base is split roughly 50-50 between owners and contractors. So we understand the similarities and the differences between those two types of profiles. Owners need to maximize that return on investment, and contractors need to protect their margin. It also doesn't matter what industry you're in, whether it's engineering, construction, oil and gas, mining, utilities, infrastructure, whether you're running some of the world's largest projects, you have mega projects greater than $1 billion, or you have tens of thousands of small projects, whatever creates that complexity in your business, you can apply Ecosys and expect to achieve those results. Just one more bit of information about the product itself. So it includes, part of project performance includes a big portion of that is project controls. So everything from setting up your project, budgeting, managing changes, forecasting, all of that productivity analysis and performance tracking, through your reporting and dashboarding, all of that is included. It also includes the tools you need for managing your subcontracts and the communications with those. And portfolio management, your broader organizational strategy, things like resource management, allocating funding to different projects, tracking opportunities, which projects should you go forward with, which ones should you abandon, identifying the macro trends that are happening across projects. That's what we can do in our portfolios module. It's a web-based solution available on any browser, any device, so there's nothing to install. The built-in reporting analytics, you don't have to have an additional BI tool. And then lastly, we can integrate with virtually anything. So the mainstay in any organization is going to be your ERP. So we can connect to the ERP, bring in that information, bring in those actuals, connect to your schedule, bring in the progress. There's other risk tools on display here. Connect to risk, bring that information in, and then really the list goes on depending on how your organization is set up. We can hook into these different tools so that you have a central place where you can manage your project. So that's the last you're going to hear about the product. Naturally, when I speak at events like this, there's some interest in the tool itself. So if that's the case for you, I encourage you just come find me afterwards or come visit our booth. But now the future of project controls, what you all came here for. So in the last 2 years, data has grown 500%. So are your organization's processes and tools where they need to be in order to remain competitive in this world of exponentially increasing data? Are you embracing the digital transformation that's sweeping through the industry? Or are you in the camp of, this is how we've always done it, so let's just continue to do it this way? Well, I hope that I can share with you some slides here that are informative. I hope that maybe you learned something, a new concept that you had not yet considered. We're going to be looking at different stages of maturity, and each of us in the room are going to be working for an organization that's at a different level here. So more importantly than learning something new, I hope that you find this presentation motivating so that when you go back to your organization, you are the one that is driving the change through your company. So just to set the tone for the future of project controls, I want to do a quick demonstration here, and I want to involve everyone in the room. Everyone should have a blank piece of paper that was handed out to them. If anyone does not have one, would you please just raise your hand and we will get one to you? Couple hands there. Just keep your hand nice and high so Elsa can see you. Yeah, good. There. Thank you. We've got 2 more in the front here, and then we can start. There you go. Okay. All right. So once you have your piece of paper, what I'd like you to do is grab the piece of paper with 2 hands, just like I have it here. And what we're going to do together, I'm going to give you a series of instructions. It's very simple. Everyone in here is more than capable of completing these instructions. Now, the only catch is I want you to close your eyes and just listen to my instructions, okay? And we'll do this together. So go ahead and grab the piece of paper like this. Once you've got that, then go ahead and close your eyes. I'm looking at all of you so I can see if your eyes are not closed. So with your eyes closed, I'd like you to fold the piece of paper in half. Keeping your eyes closed. Once you've got that piece of paper folded in half, I'd like you to tear off the top right corner. Just rip it off. Keep your eyes closed. Once you've got the top right corner ripped off, I'd like you to fold the piece of paper in half again. And tear off the top left corner. Keep your eyes closed for this. One more time, I want you to fold the piece of paper in half again. And this time, I want you to tear off the bottom right corner. Okay, once you've got that done, you can open your eyes and you can unfold your paper, and I'd like you to hold it up so I can see it and everyone around the room can see it, and everyone should have what I have here. It's pretty close. Okay. Everyone should have this. Seeing some pretty dramatic differences. So I see very few people that even have close to what I've got here. I see some close, some very close results. I don't see anyone that has exactly what I've got here. I see a lot of people that are nowhere near what I'm looking for here. So why did we do that? This is a project, and this is what I want. I'm the client. And if you look around the room, this is the current state of project controls, and this is what I'm getting. So everyone did exactly what I asked you to do. You can put the papers down now. Everyone did exactly what I asked you to do, but we all got different results. So it's incredibly inefficient. How much time would you have to spend to reverse engineer what you have to be able to get the final product, what the customer actually wanted? Maybe you have to start over completely. How much easier could this have been if I had you open your eyes and follow along? Or better yet, I had given you a written set of instructions with some illustrations to guide you through that process. It would have been a lot easier. More people would have gotten close to what I wanted. What if I had interrupted you in the middle of your project and asked your neighbor to pick up where you left off? Would they have any idea what steps you have completed and what was remaining? So this is what's happening today on projects. I've worked with organizations that, for example, a cost analyst, a cost controller, leaves the company, and the new cost analyst takes over on the project, inherits all of the spreadsheets with the formulas and all the files, and they can't interpret what's going on, where that company has to actually hire back the previous person to come after hours and do a proper handover. So that's a nightmare scenario if you're trying to run an organization, you're trying to run a seamless project. So if I was to summarize project controls today in a few images, this is how I would summarize it. It's slow. We don't cover ourselves in glory with the speed at which we can respond to ad hoc reporting requests, managing changes, getting all of the status reports out there. There's no visibility, so we've been conditioned to feed these backwards-looking reports, and there's no forward-looking. We can hardly tell what has happened to the project. There's uncertainty. I've been in monthly project review meetings, 1-hour-long meetings, and it's been sidetracked for 45 minutes to figure out a formula error on a spreadsheet. Those kind of things are happening today. And there's inconsistency. We just demonstrated that here in this room. Everyone has the best intentions. They think that they're following the best practices, the processes that have been defined in their organization, but we're all getting different results. So why is that? Well, it's tough to make predictions, especially about the future. There's a whole discipline already established within your organization that is responsible for looking backwards and telling you what has happened. This is the finance and accounting team that can tell you the current state of your project. The value in project controls is looking forward. Tell me today how the project will finish. Don't tell me after, when it's too late for me to make any adjustments or take any corrective action. So when this is the way things are operating in your organization, it's difficult to answer fundamental questions like who approved this change and what's the impact to the budget and the forecast? Or what do we expect our final cost to be, and how confident are we in that projection? Or even harder to answer, which projects are underperforming and why? If you're managing your business on a project-by-project basis, you're missing the whole portfolio level where you can start to identify trends across the projects. Imagine all of us in here are working for one organization. You have a small cost overrun on your project. You might think it's not that big of a deal, but every single person in here has the same problem and is saying the same thing, starts to add up at the enterprise level and make a negative impact. So when I first meet with a prospective customer, this is normally what I'm what I'm greeted with. They talk about the challenges that they're having, disconnected systems, manual processes, double entry of data, all of the things that you're more than familiar with. And it's because they're suffering from all of these systems getting piled on top of them, having to download data from different systems, put it all together in our favorite tool, Excel, and that process just takes so long, there's no time left for any kind of analysis. So when this is how you're operating, you can't identify issues. You can't even see the problems that are there. If you can't see these issues, you can't make adjustments. You can't anticipate needs. You can hardly tell what has happened to the project, and you can't plan effectively. So what happens? Projects cost more, and they take longer. So the next image, this is a real look inside a project control manager that I recently met with. So this is the project controls manager, and it might look familiar to a few of you in the room. Constantly balancing all of these competing demands. You've got different reports that are due, project reports, corporate reporting. The customer's asking what the status of the project is. The contractor wants to know what the status of their payment is. You're managing changes along the way. It's quite the balancing act. Well, I can tell you that a study by Gartner says that by 2030, 80% of today's project management work will be eliminated. That's because of the rise of artificial intelligence, machine learning, all of that technology that's out there is going to eliminate a lot of this work. So I know what some of you are thinking. This might be your next job interview, competing against the machines, trying to put your best foot forward and why the company should hire a human when a machine can do it better, right? You might be thinking, the end is near, there's no hope left, I'm just a project controls expert, a machine could take over my job. But the reality is that this 80% of work that's being eliminated, these are the activities. This is the boring stuff. This is the stuff we want to eliminate. The project management, project controls discipline will still be there. It's just you're going to have more insights into your data. Once you start to automate some of these processes, you'll get more visibility and you become a better decision maker. So I want to look now at 5 levels of data maturity. First level, you might find yourself on any stage of this data maturity scale, and I'll explain at the end how you can use this. So the first, unstructured data. This is if you are drowning in a sea of documents, emails passing back and forth. You've got data stored on hard drives. You have to know which hard drive to look for that information. That's this unstructured data. It's chaotic. You take it one step further, you get into semi-structured data. This is where someone has actually taken the time to organize the information. Maybe it's not in the format that you want to see it, but it has some structure to it. This is the way spreadsheets work. So your spreadsheets can be well organized, but in the end, you can put whatever you want into those cells. Take it one step further, we've got structured data. This is databases. So someone has carefully gone through and organized the data so that it's easy to find that information. This is the way libraries work. Everything is indexed. You know what you want to search for, you go to the index search, and then you can find what you need. Take that one step further, we've got linked data. This is the way Wikipedia works. You search, you look up something on Wikipedia, read about it, and you're going to find various links throughout that article that are going to link you to other information that's going to be relevant. So this is integrated databases. This is when you have automated integrations occurring between your tools. And then lastly, intelligently linked data. So we're all familiar with this today. This is the way Google search results are formed. So we can search for something, and it's not even, I'm searching for how tall is Tom Cruise. I didn't even spell his name correctly, but it knows what I wanted to see. So the goal, you may find yourself at anywhere along this scale. The goal is just to move. The goal is not to already be all the way to the right. The goal is to just make some progress and be moving from the left to the right. And I can tell you that this is easier than you might think, and it's cheaper than you might think. In fact, any investment you make into your tools that helps you to get from the left to the right is going to be returned to you many times over, and it's less costly than the inefficiencies that you're having being on the left. So if we look a little bit closer at this intelligently linked data, so we expect this in our day-to-day lives, so why can't we have this on our project management systems? So getting search results that are interpreting what I really wanted to see. It's looking at other similar search results from other people. It's bringing that information. It's giving me more than I even bargained for. So we're so expectant on this today. Some examples, we've got Siri on our phone to help us. We've got natural language processing, speech recognition. We've got cameras on our phone. Take a live image of a foreign language and read it in English right in front of you on the phone. You upload a photo to Facebook. Facebook already asks you, are these 4 people in the photo? It's using their facial recognition. Sure enough, those are the people that are in the photo with you. Autonomous vehicles, making driving easier. We still need drivers, but it's making things easier. Maybe a little too easy. Falling asleep at the wheel, it's so easy to drive now. So we're already accustomed to this information. We look at weather forecasts. How many of you looked at the weather this morning before you left, or last night before you went to sleep? Sports betting, even as the game is progressing, the odds are changing. Netflix, when you finish a show on Netflix, it's already suggesting a new one for you to watch. When you go shopping online, maybe you purchase some items online, it's suggesting other items you might like. So we're already used to this. So let's bring this into our projects, our project controls. Let's use this. And now I want to do a test just to see if the machines really can take over our project controls, our project management processes. I want to put you guys, all of you, up against a test, up against Google's artificial intelligence to see how we can compare. So let's take a quiz. Who can tell me what is this a picture of? Not everyone at once. It's a cat. Okay, it's a cat. How confident are you that that's a cat? Pretty confident? 95%, 100% maybe? Okay, that was an easy one though. Most of you passed. I want to make it a little bit harder. So what is this? It's a cat. Okay, it's a cat again. Still confident that it's a cat. You notice any differences between these images? It's a little tilt of the head on the right one. But you did well again, okay? You passed. So let's compare you to Google's AI. So you show it the first image of the cat, and it's about 85% confident that that's a tabby cat. It thinks it could be another type of cat, but it's pretty confident that it's a cat. That's good. Now let's see what happens when you tilt the head slightly. It becomes even more confident. It is 99% confident that is a picture of guacamole. So you can see that we're not quite there yet we still need the human touch to take a look at what these tools are delivering us, but it is helping us along the way. Some other examples of failures of this tool, it thought a turtle was a pickup truck. It thought a shotgun was a telescope. It thought a panda was an espresso. So, it's not perfect, but when we combine this technology and add our human touch to it, it can make things a lot easier. So let's look at it in the realm of analytics maturity. So we looked at data maturity, but now let's look at where you are on this analytics maturity scale. So this overlays your existing project data that you already have today, identifies it, quantifies it, so that it's easy to interpret, and you'll identify trends that you weren't able to understand otherwise. First level is descriptive. This is just telling me what happened. Anyone can do this. This is backwards-looking reports. This is just feeding those reports. Maybe you need another report and another report. This is just explaining what happened. It's already too late to take any corrective action. Next, we've got diagnostic. So why did it happen? So this is good. This is analyzing your past performance. This is gathering things like lessons learned, maybe having a lessons learned review before you start a new project, so that maybe you can do better the next time. You're still not improving anything for this project, but you're at least digging a little bit deeper, finding out what happened. You get to the next level, you're at predictive. What will likely happen? This is great because you're taking into account your current cost and schedule performance. The system is predicting what will likely happen. It's allowing you to see if we continue down this course, then this is how we will finish. It lets you determine how reasonable your forecast is. Then we have prescriptive. So what should we do? So it's one thing to tell me what will likely happen, but if you tell me early enough, then we can take corrective action and continuously improve. And lastly, we have cognitive. So what don't we know? So this is showing us insights into the data that we didn't know. It's comparing structured and unstructured data. And I'll admit, this is very advanced for a lot of the projects that we're doing today. But what you should strive for is to just be advancing to the next stage. Determine which stage you're at and try to make progress advance to that next level. So if we look at some of the analytical models that you can use, a few examples here. We have principal component analysis. So this simplifies complex data sets. So let's say you've got 50, 60, 70 variables that you're trying to analyze. Principal component analysis will pick out just the handful that are actually relevant for that analysis. You've got clustering, grouping similar items and distinguishing those group characteristics. So if you've got large volumes of data, maybe clustering that will help analyze it. Decision tree, graphically representing splits in the data. So you might want to use this if you have different project types, different project sizes. Maybe you want to analyze projects greater than $5 million in one way and projects less than $5 million in another way, for example. Neural networks, machine learning, so it's detecting and describing new data, filling in gaps in your data. Spatial, identifying trends across different geographies. You might find that you have different trends in North America than you do in Asia Pacific, so splitting those out so you can segregate those. Time series, identify trends over time. So if you're forecasting an expenditure for a piece of equipment in a particular month, and you're starting to see that it's slipping month by month, this time series analysis can help you identify that. Also, what's the impact of any corrective action that you do take? So you want to see the fruits of your labor. This time series is a good way to visualize that as well. You've got regression, so identifying trends throughout the variables to explain outcomes. When you start applying formulas to your forecasting, this is where you can You can build that in. And then lastly, text. So identify trends within the text sources. So this is looking at positive, negative sentiment on your project updates. Because not only are we producing the reports with the numerical information, but we're also providing some context. So these are some of the base models that can be applied to your existing data. Each of them is suited for different applications. If we look a little closer at the text analytical model, for example, how this is best used, let's say a project the project reports are just fine. There's no red flags, there's no costs or schedule overruns. The project is more or less on track. Well, if you start to look at this sentiment analysis, maybe it's very negative. The project updates are very negative. You can use that as a leading warning indicator that maybe you do need to investigate, spend some time because the project might be heading off course. Okay, now I've given you these different things to consider, different models, different tools, but you can actually track this stuff and quantify it in the term of KPIs. So you can use SMART KPIs: specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound. That's what all of these are. So you're going to find that if you implement these concepts that I've discussed today, you're going to have increased efficiency. So you're going to have a reduction in the time it takes to perform some of your tasks. Your report cycle times will go down. You're going to have more use of your common tools and processes. So if you eliminate those Excel spreadsheets, you're using a common tool, you're going to have that governance in place there. Next, your predictability is going to improve. So you're going to find that you're more likely to complete projects on time, more likely to complete projects on budget, and there's going to be less surprises at the end of the project. You're going to have greater control, some more KPIs that you can measure, reduction in rework, so no more reverse engineering. Your project controls maturity will improve. You'll be able to audit the workings of your team. You won't have these mysteries about where did this data come from? When did this change approved? How long has it been in the forecast? All these types of KPIs are going to be available to you, and you can measure this stuff. And I'll tell you that as soon as you start measuring these things, you're going to improve. Your projects are going to improve, and the entire organization is going to be better off. The result that you'll see is actionable information. So get away from static, biased, subjective reporting and get into this robust visualizations powered by your structured, unstructured, and analytic augmented data. So get presented with a dashboard that's easily digestible, that you can see exactly where the issues are. You can click and drill down into the details to find the data that's actually building those charts. You don't have to go elsewhere to a separate spreadsheet, a separate system. But it's more than just business intelligence and just visualizing this stuff, but you're actually going to improve the whole business process behind that. The whole project controls process will improve if you implement some of these tools that I've discussed. So you're going to be able to answer questions like, what are the top 5 risks on my project? Which client is better for me? Which project team members work better together? You're going to be able to answer all this information. You're also going to be able to measure predictability. So predictability is important to measure because it's going to tell you which projects are providing you with those surprises and which projects are more forthcoming, more proactive in updating their forecast. So predictability is not outcome variance analysis. Anyone can do outcome variance analysis and tell me at the end of the project why we went off track. Predictability is measuring the average point in time when your forecast becomes accurate. So if you were able to tell me in month 4, month 5, how the project will finish, that's a lot better than if you can only tell me month 9, 10, 11. Especially if you're withholding some important information. There's some challenges that you're going to have if you don't have a system like this in place to help you. You may be in an organization that doesn't put enough emphasis on project controls. I've worked with companies before that are when you say project controls, the first thing they think of is the schedule. They're very schedule focused. And so that comes at a high cost. But if you have a system like this, then you're going to find that if we're looking at these curves on the bottom here, you're going to find that they're going to move up and to the left, and they're going to be more predictable. And the good thing about predictability is you can compare every project in your organization to each other. Doesn't matter the size, the type of project. And you can see, okay, this project is more predictable than another. Maybe you start to incentivize your project teams to see, okay, who has the most predictable project? You might find that your project team members are now more likely to update their forecasts and maybe report some negative information. The Construction Industry Institute did a study on predictability, and they found that the #1 cause of poor predictability on projects was human behavior. So this is optimism bias. We always think that the good is going to be better than it really is, and the bad is not going to be so bad. So we're slow to report that bad news to management, so we push it out, only for reality to set in later, and it's too late to take any corrective action. So put a tool like this in place, and you will find that the outcomes on your project are boosted. So I'll leave you with this. I know I shared a lot of advanced information. There's some basic information in there as well, but I just encourage you to start somewhere. Just start by starting. There's a lot of vendors exhibiting here. You might be struggling to decide which one you want to partner with, but just make that decision and move forward, because the much worse decision is to do nothing. Because I can tell you that all of your competitors are embracing this technology, this digital transformation, and they're applying it because they're using it on their projects today. So you don't have to start with this big bang approach. You don't have to jump from stage 1 to stage 4, from stage 2 to stage 5. You can take it one step at a time. You want to do it like this because you want to show results early. Management wants to see that they're getting the return on their investment. If you purchase some software, you want to see that return. I've also seen many softwares get pushed to the business users only to get rejected, because they've been envisioned by management to this software will let me see what I want to see, but no thought has been put into the actual users, the actual use of the tool. So I encourage you to consider that use of the tool, and if you implement something that's going to make everyone's job easier, you're going to find that it's more of a pull. They're going to be more receptive, and they're going to be demanding that you use that tool on their project. So you can start small, take steps along the way. The technology is out there. We're already accustomed to expecting this in our day-to-day lives. It's coming into the project controls discipline. If it's not at your organization yet, it will be there soon. The digital transformation is going to affect everyone on all of our projects in here. And if you don't believe me, you can ask Siri. Thank you.